In 2006, two friends, Go Junhee and Go Yu, prepare for surgery. Junhee, the quiet bookworm, and Go Yu, the carefree jokester, face the moment with contrasting attitudes. A narrator reflects, "Back then, we were growing up curious about love and a little reckless." As they are taken to the operating room, Junhee thanks Go Yu, who lightens the tension with funny faces. The narrator continues, "They had no worries or fears, just endless laughter." Their double surgery begins until something goes wrong. Their monitors go haywire, alarms blare, and despite the doctor's efforts, both flatline. Tears fall, and the narrator remembers, "In those days, the greatest thing we could do was love." Jumping to 2023, a man wakes alone in his apartment. As he opens a window, a gust of wind knocks a book to the floor, revealing a photograph inside. On its back, the words, "All that we loved." He picks it up, revealing a picture of Junhee, Go Yu, and a girl back in high school. A scar on his abdomen hints at his past. Back in 2006, a high school basketball tournament is underway. Go Yu plays for his school while Junhee lingers outside with his friend, Soontak. A bully Sang-kyu shows Junhee making his head ring. Blamed for being in the way, he snaps out of his daze, standing his ground. Sang-kyu, furious, nearly hits him but is stopped by a teacher. He promises revenge. On the court, Go Yu clashes with a rival player as the opposing school takes the lead. Meanwhile, Sang-kyu tracks down Junhee in the classroom, taunting him about Go Yu's absence. Junhee remains unmoved, but Sang-kyu grows aggressive. As Go Yu executes the game-winning three-pointer, a basketball suddenly strikes Sang-kyu's head. Go Yu has arrived. Without hesitation, he takes down Sang-kyu, dodging his attacks effortlessly. A moment of distraction allows Sang-kyu to land a hit, but a teacher intervenes, punishing Sang-kyu and his gang. Afterward, as Go Yu and Junhee watch Sang-kyu serve his punishment, Go Yu remembers it's Junhee's birthday. A sudden scare from a passing dove reminds everyone of Go Yu's ornithophobia. Later, in Junhee's room, the one they shared for years, his grandmother, Mrs. Mo, enters. She raised both Junhee, her biological grandson, and Go Yu, her adoptive one. She prepares a feast for Junhee, celebrating with a cake, but he quickly blows out the candles, too introverted for the attention. A minor clash of elbows reveals they're both left-handed. After dinner, Mrs. Mo packs food for Go Yu's parents. He resents them for their absence, believing they don't care about him. But Mrs. Mo insists that thanks to their sacrifices, lives were saved, including Junyoung's, her late son. The mention of Junyoung unsettles Go Yu, prompting him to visit his parents at the hospital. His mother gives him a Thierry Henry jersey as a gift, but his father disapproves, frustrated that Go Yu was a basketball player instead of a soccer fan. Their argument escalates, with Go Yu sarcastically questioning why they haven't divorced yet. They respond with no time, as they bicker with each other. Before leaving, his mother calls him "my son" and apologizes, but duty calls her into surgery, leaving Go Yu watching her disappear into the hospital corridors. The story shifts to 1996. A young Go Yu hides in the hospital, prompting his mother to ask Mrs. Mo to take him home when she finds him. Meanwhile, his mother speaks with a woman accompanied by her sickly son, Junyoung. Once they leave, Go Yu emerges from his hiding spot and meets Junyoung, forming an immediate bond. Junyoung, it turns out, is Junhee's older brother. Fast forward to 2006, Junhee is studying. The next day, he, Soontak, and Go Yu head to get haircuts. Soontak shares a rumor a stunning new transfer student has arrived at their school. Meanwhile, the new girl works at a shop, unintentionally drawing attention from high school boys intrigued by the rumor. Unfortunately, she also catches the eye of Sang-kyu, who flirts with her despite being on a date. She grows visibly annoyed. Back at the salon, Junhee flips through a magazine and finds a picture of his favorite actress, only to realize Go Yu is fixated on the actress in the background. They bicker over who gets to keep the page until Go Yu signals the stylist to shampoo Junhee's hair, catching him off guard. Later, Junhee realizes Go Yu took the page anyway, prompting a playful chase through the streets with Soontak. But Junhee suddenly halts, struck again by the mysterious ringing in his head. Go Yu rushes to his side in concern. Jumping to 2023, the man from earlier stands in an office filled with awards. A Thierry Henry jersey hangs on the wall. He is now Dr. Go, a psychiatrist. Back in 2006, Junhee feels better the next day. Meanwhile, the new girl waits in her brother's room, admiring his Thierry Henry jersey. This distraction makes her late for school, forcing her to wait until the next class to enter. She takes the opportunity to explore the building. In class, Junhee struggles with his vision. Noticing this, Go Yu loudly claims he's sick, embarrassing him. Meanwhile, the girl finds the school's infirmary and rests behind a curtain. Junhee and Go-yu are sent to the infirmary as well. Feeling guilty, Go-yu assumes Junhee is mad about the magazine page and starts arguing playfully, making the girl chuckle. Junhee denies it but proposes a coin toss. Heads, Go-yu must stay quiet for a whole day. Tails, he keeps the page. Go-yu eagerly agrees and tosses the coin, only for it to land behind the curtain. The girl picks it up and reveals herself. Both boys are stunned by her beauty. Breaking the silence, Junhee asks which side the coin landed on. She smirks and replies, "Heads. Go-yu, you have to shut up." In 2023, Dr. Go hears about Han So-yin, an actress making a successful comeback after a 2-year hiatus. Back in 2006, Han So-yin is introduced to their class, the same girl they met in the infirmary. In 2023, as Dr. Go leaves work, he unexpectedly runs into someone. It's So-yin. Back in 2006, after Junhee defeats Go-yu in FIFA, he wins the bet. Go-yu must let him wear his Thierry Henry jersey. Outside, Go-yu doesn't seem too upset, distracted by thoughts of the beautiful new girl. He absent-mindedly drops his basketball. At that moment, So-yin walks behind them, talking on the phone about her brother's arrival. Spotting the jersey, she rushes forward and hugs the person wearing it. To both boys' shock, it's Junhee. In 2023, Dr. Go reflects, if they hadn't swapped jerseys that day, would their fates have been different? So-yin realizes it's Junhee she's hugged and apologizes for the misunderstanding. Though Go-yu tries to strike up a conversation with her, she chooses to ignore him and leaves. In 2023, the grown-up So-yin is in Dr. Go's office. After he subtly tidies himself up, he offers her coffee. She jokes that she'd prefer alcohol, but Dr. Go admits he doesn't drink. As they talk, she mentions it's been 16 years and asks if he missed her. He stammers an apology, saying his mind is a mess. So-yin smiles and says she just wanted to visit a friend, but seeing him now makes her wish she'd come sooner. She then asks if he has a partner, teasing, wouldn't want to make anyone jealous. Dr. Go laughs and says he doesn't. Back in 2006, Go-yu asks Soon-tak if he's heard any rumors about So-yin. Soon-tak only knows that she transferred schools often but doesn't know why. Later in the classroom, Go-yu can't take his eyes off So-yin. Suddenly, a classmate named Yoon-jung approaches her, asking if they attended the same previous school. So-yin sharply denies it and dismisses her, leaving Yoon-jung embarrassed. After school, while Go-yu and Soon-tak hang out, Junhee studies. His vision starts to blur again. Go-yu teases him about studying all the time, which prompts Junhee to suggest they drink alcohol instead. The boys are eager, but Go-yu complains that all the places that sell to minors have been shut down. Soon-tak, however, knows a spot. Meanwhile, So-yin is at work. She notices a watch in a coworker's bag and seems to struggle with herself, torn by temptation. At the same time, Soon-tak takes his friends to a chicken bar where they manage to get beer. However, they panic when they see cops at the door, who aren't there for them, and run away without drinking any, much to their disappointment. Back at So-yin's workplace, her coworker suddenly realizes her watch is missing. So-yin, cleaning nearby, avoids eye contact. Outside, Go-yu and his friends are running when Go-yu suddenly stops because he spots So-yin. He tells the others to keep walking, but she notices Junhee staring at her. Meanwhile, Mrs. Mo, Junhee's grandmother, tries to sell flowers outside a building but is told to leave. Despite this, she remains optimistic. The boys then try to buy soda by tricking an elderly shopkeeper with a borrowed ID. She calls it fake, crushing their hopes. Later, So-yin is at a store, struggling as she looks at pad boxes. She notices the boys outside panting. Soon-tak explains they're there because the underage worker sells alcohol without checking IDs. As they watch, So-yin leaves the store, casually drinking a beer. Go-yu snaps out of his daze, and they attempt to buy beer themselves. However, the cashier calls her dad, forcing the boys to flee. At dinner, Soon-tak wonders how So-yin got beer as a minor. Meanwhile, Mrs. Mo continues trying to sell her flowers, repeating her catchphrase, "You should love," but with little success. Junhee challenges his friends to speak only English for 20 minutes. Go-yu, under pressure, agrees but ends up murmuring incoherently with Soon-tak. When Go-yu eats a chicken leg dipped in peanut sauce, Junhee panics and warns him in English. Go-yu doesn't understand, so Junhee switches to Korean, losing the challenge. Realizing his mistake, Go-yu frantically takes his allergy medicine. Later, Go-yu recovers and finds an old photo of himself, Junhee, and Junyoung as kids. This sparks a memory from 1996, when Go-yu first approached Junhee to reunite him with his older brother, Junyoung, who missed him dearly. In the present, Junhee studies with the photo on his shelf. He takes pain medication for an unknown reason and notices his grandmother hasn't returned home yet. He goes outside to call her and finds her unsuccessfully trying to sell flowers in a shop. The ringing in his head starts again but stops quickly. The next day, Go-yu runs into Junhee, who is now wearing glasses. Go-yu helps him tidy up Mrs. Mo's unsold flowers. Their work is interrupted when So-yeon arrives. She ignores them until their teacher points out Junhee's glasses, causing her to stare at him. Go-yu notices this. Back in 2023, Dr. Go runs into So-yeon again. She's wearing a dress and carrying a bottle of alcohol, though it's just for herself. After getting coffee, she playfully tries to get him to call her pretty, but he struggles to respond. She asks how he ended up living such a boring life. He insists he's having fun, but she notices his glasses and asks if his eyesight has gotten worse. In 2006, Sang-kyu mocks Junhee's glasses but is too busy bullying someone else to focus on him. Meanwhile, Go-yu finds So-yeon alone in the classroom. He mentions that PE is next, but she didn't bring her gym clothes. Go-yu offers her to spare set, which she accepts. They arrive at the gym together, sparking teasing from their classmates. Junhee notices she's wearing Go-yu's jacket. During class, the teacher asks Go-yu to demonstrate a basketball shot, which he nails perfectly. Junhee watches as So-yeon smiles at Go-yu. Later, Go-yu tries to help Junhee with basketball, but Junhee struggles. So-yeon watches them with a smile. When Junhee finally scores, Go-yu gets everyone to cheer for him. Afterward, Go-yu notices So-yeon practicing alone and joins her. He's surprised by how skilled she is. Junhee can only watch from a distance. That night, Junhee walks into the library. The ringing in his head returns after he hears a bell. Though it stops quickly, it starts again while he's reading, blurring his vision. At the same time, Go-yu feels uneasy as he rests at home. Sang-kyu spots Junhee in the library and drags him into an alley to beat him up. The ringing in Junhee's head grows louder as Sang-kyu kicks him repeatedly, mocking him for always staring and relying on Go-yu. Junhee refuses to fall, but Sang-kyu leaves him lying in the trash, battered and broken. Sang-kyu's beating Junhee senseless, while Go-yu shakes seemingly in pain in his sleep, and dreams on his young self playing hide-and-seek with Junyoung, and in a room he found him. But he was crying, and he looked like a ghost, but Go-yu wakes up agitated from the nightmare. And while Mrs. Mo tidies up Junhee's room, she wonders where is he, but notices the pain medicine he's been taking, plenty of it, which leaves her stunned. And Junhee lays in the alley while Go-yu's trying to call him. But he was taken to the hospital where Go-yu's mother worriedly tended to him. And in 2023, after work, Dr. Go gets approached by a grown-up Soon-tak, who's now also a psychiatrist and works with him. Though then, Dr. Go receives text from So-yeon that she won't be able to go today, though teasingly laughs knowing he was expecting her, which he actually was. And back in 2006, Junhee's having an MRI, and afterwards, while he rests, Go-yu's now with him, but Junhee won't say who beat him up. But Go-yu's parents are seeing Junhee's x-rays and see his kidneys aren't well, and it's advanced, which left them frustrated. So as Mrs. Mo's outside, Go-yu's mom calls her in and reveals that Junhee has chronic kidney failure. Though she theorizes he probably didn't know, Mrs. Mo knows he was suffering after finding the painkillers he's been taking in secret. Though they tell her he'll be in dialysis and put in a donor waiting list, she's disheartened. While Go-yu's mom tries comforting her that this situation is at least better than Junyoung's. But as the guys miss school, So-yeon noticed this while holding on to Go-yu's uniform, which she wanted to return. But in the hospital, Go-yu finds his mom alongside Mrs. Mo and becomes unsettled after he finds out the truth, but later reproaches Junhee for studying so hard in that much pain, and leaves him behind, frustrated by all of this. The next day, their teacher informed the class that Junhee was sick and would be missing school for a while. Though Go-yu wasn't attending either, so So-yeon instructed Soon-tak to hand him his clothes back, though he tried inviting her to the hospital, saying that Go-yu's there, she didn't want to go. Though he broke down crying after she asked if Junhee was very sick. Meanwhile, Go-yu's mad at his mom for not doing more for Junhee, but she claims there's nothing they can do because no one will donate him a kidney, so they can only wait for a donor. Afterwards, Soon-tak visits them, though he put on too much white cream on his face to be more confident, but he hands Go-yu his clothes from So-yeon and says that she apparently wanted to give them in person, and that she broke down crying after finding out Junhee was sick. But meanwhile, Sang-kyu and his gang worriedly notice that Junhee hasn't attended school and fear he might have killed him. Though, he wonders why everything's calm then, but also notices that So-yeon's in this class. Meanwhile, Go-yu's fooling around with Junhee and Soon-tak in the hospital, but after this, Go-yu is still worried, And later, back home in his room, he only stared at his fish, remembering unpacking him with Soon-tak and Junhee. Though Junhee wanted it named Dunk, Go-yu named him Tackle instead, his little brother. Though in the present, he calls him Dunk. And the next day in a hospital, Go-yu was abruptly waken up by Mrs. Mo's scream because Junhee's vitals were failing. But he was able to be stabilized. But this made Go-yu decide for good that he'll give Junhee his kidney, regardless of what his parents say, to his mom, and Mrs. Mo's shock. And though his mom later tried talking him out of it, he wasn't having it, having seen the dialysis is not enough, and the wait list for a donor is of 7 to 8 years. Not even with the fact that it might affect his career as an athlete, more caring about her choice because she's barely his mom and then frustratedly left. But Mrs. Mo noticed outside his reaction, so she later ate with his mom. And despite Mrs. Mo dreading the thought of both her grandchildren undergoing surgery, she tried comforting Go-yu's mom that she shouldn't feel bad about Go-yu and instead should show him how to live. Though Go-yu's mom recognizes Mrs. Mo's the one who practically raised Go-yu, Mrs. Mo recalls how, after Jun-young's death, his parents died in a car accident, leaving her and Junhee behind alone in a quiet house. And in 1996, we see Junhee just staring at his dead family's portraits, and he had become emotionless after all this, and Mrs. Mo didn't know what to do. Until she got you outside, calling for Junhee, who upon seeing him like this, tried comforting him that Jun-young wouldn't be afraid anymore because his parents are with him now. Which made Junhee get up, and Mrs. Mo also found comfort in his words. And thanks to Go-yu, Junhee began acting normal again. But at night, when his mom came pick him up, Mrs. Mo convinced her so he stays the night, but then offered her to allow her to raise Go-yu alongside Junhee, which took her by surprise. But she ultimately accepted, and from that day on, Mrs. Mo cared for the two of them. And back in 2006, Mrs. Mo tries comforting Go-yu's mom again to not mind Go-yu's hurtful words, saying he'll see how much she sacrificed for him eventually, and to accept his love when that happens. And so, the next day, she tried telling Go-yu about the risks, because he could develop acute kidney failure, many diseases, and some organs could end up damaged during surgery. And that, his kidney must be compatible to Junhee, but Go-yu wasn't quitting regardless. But later, Junhee wasn't keen on this idea, though Mrs. Mo was reproaching him for not telling her about his pain. But later, Go-yu was finding out his compatibility results with Junhee, a perfect match, to his parents' frustration, but he was ecstatic. And so they prepared for surgery while Junhee read and Go-yu fooled around. And then, with Go-yu's mom as a surgeon and an incredibly worried Mrs. Mo outside, their surgery began. But both of their monitors began going haywire, and despite their efforts, they flatlined, leaving Go-yu's mom in shock while both brothers shed a tear. A month later, things went normally in school, though without Junhee nor Go-yu, and So-yin felt off, and even thought she saw Junhee reading, but it was someone else. Though then, 3 of the girls in her classroom were tired of that skinny witch and decided to mess with her by inviting her somewhere, and despite her resistance, she went, only to be bothered by them. Until someone opened the door, Junhee. And the back door, Go-yu. 1 month after their successful surgery, Go-yu and Junhee returned to school, with both of them now having 1 kidney. Though Go-yu mentioned there's someone he wants to see, leaving Junhee bothered because he knows it's So-yin. But Go-yu didn't find her in his classroom, because she was being bothered by the annoying girls, but Junhee heard their shouting and went to her, as So-yin smiled seeing him again. But Go-yu also found his way in, telling a smiling So-yin it was nice to see her, but Junhee didn't look ecstatic at this, and Go-yu then holds her hand and gets her out of there, which leaves Junhee disappointed. Back in 2023, Dr. Go was talking to So-yin through texts, who revealed that, as he's only free at night, she'd scheduled a date with him at 3 p.m. so they can go out for a walk, to Dr. Go's frustration. Though then took a look to their high school photo, which was framed and on his desk. And back in 2006, So-yin was now hanging with Junhee and Go-yu was managing to make her laugh with his silly stuff. Though, Sang-kyu noticed they were back now, and his lapdogs noticed he was jealous of Go-yu and So-yin. Afterwards, Soon-tak alongside classmates were pouring in rice balls in a pot, but Soon-tak was stopped by another classmate, Kim Young-rae, because his rice has brown rice, which won't work, to make wine. And Go-yu and Junhee then arrive, dropping theirs in the pot. And then Young-rae makes the rice wine that'll be opened in a meeting in Sunday, and each member can invite someone over. After this, with class over, they So-yin leaving, and Go-yu claims he knows who to invite already as he stares at her, and Junhee's left feeling down. Afterwards, Junhee does his homework, though smiles while thinking on So-yen, but shrugs it off. Meanwhile, Mrs. Mo gets a call from Go-yu to have her turn off Junhee's lights because he needs to sleep, to his dismay, though he just turns on a lamp. But thanks to this, he notices that he's been writing with his right hand. But meanwhile, Go-yu's practicing in the school's gym, but is missing many shots and gets distracted, thinking on So-yen, but his coach leaves frustrated seeing this performance. Meanwhile, So-yen's at her work as she remembers Junhee and Go-yu rescuing her at school and smiles. The next day, Go-yu, Soon-tak, and Junhee help Mrs. Mo pack her flowers, though Go-yu appears very happy because his desire to see someone makes him stronger, though they later go sell Mrs. Mo's flowers. But Junhee suddenly stops because he's ran into a dove and looks afraid of it. And in 2023, while Dr. Go hangs with So-yen, he's also appearing afraid at a dove, which So-yen notices and scares it off. And she points out he still has ornithophobia, though So-yen then looks off. In 2006, the three friends are trying to sell flowers, but Go-yu notices and approaches So-yen, who's going to her job, while Go-yu claims this is his, which makes So-yen buy 3 flowers, but Go-yu then invites to the Sunday event, which Junhee hears and is shocked. Though, So-yen says she'll think about it. And Go-yu tells her, "You should love," as he hands her the flowers. Though as she leaves, Go-yu notices Junhee looks odd. And so, on Sunday, Junhee and Soon-tak arrived at the school, followed by Go-yu with So-yen, though they noticed the gate was closed and there was security inside. And though So-yen wanted to leave, Go-yu stopped her, because they're then using Soon-tak to climb up past the wall. But both Go-yu and Junhee then extended their hands to So-yen, so she held them both and sat next to them. And so they then arrive to the school's bathroom where the meeting is being held by Youngrite with the wine rice, though they'll first have to listen to a tale of his. But as Go-yu seeing So-yen, he also notices Junhee staring at her. Though, Go-yu then decides to go out with her and end up on a bench talking about their blood type and astral signs. But So-yen doesn't believe that one can know someone else by those things, and instead believes that one needs to understand someone's secrets to truly know them, which prompts Go-yu to ask about hers, though she won't answer, which Go-yu figured but hopes it happens when they become closer. But Go-yu tells her that apparently one can't keep secrets in their heart because they're too hot and must be told to someone without doubting, offering to save her secret for her. But they're interrupted by screams because the guards found them as everyone runs away, but Soon-tak falls. So Go-yu entrusts So-yen to Junhee while he helps Soon-tak up. And as everyone runs, Junhee and So-yen end up hiding in a small alley, though it's now awkward. But Junhee begins thinking of her beautifully again and decides to talk to her. Episode 5. As Junhee calls So-yen by her name, they're left staring at each other. But they get interrupted by a call from Go-yu, and So-yen appears disappointed at this, as Junhee then tells her they go now. And so they reunite with Go-yu and Soon-tak, but as Go-yu sees them, he remembers Junhee staring at her earlier. But at the same time, something's happening to Junhee. He's seen blurry with his glasses, and normally without them. Back in 2023, So-yen goes to Dr. Go's office again, but he noticed she looked off, and she asked him if he could stay with her today, which he accepted. Back in 2006, Go-yu suddenly decides to take So-yen home, leaving Junhee sad at this. While he then went home, but without his glasses now, but felt frustrated due to Go-yu leaving with So-yen, though in that moment she's talking with him about Junhee and how they met, while Go-yu thinks back on when So-yen hugged Junhee and spotting her at her work, as well as saving her from the girls. And then they finally arrived at her home. Meanwhile, Junhee's testing his view with and without the glasses as Go-yu arrives at his place, and Junhee reveals he can see well without glasses now for some reason, which leaves Go-yu surprised and tries doing silly things to confirm it. Though after this, Go-yu asks him if he likes So-yen too, but Junhee claims he's not interested in her. Afterwards, they both rest in Junhee's room, though they're left thinking. The next day, Go-yu decides to make Mrs. Mo a coffee with an egg bud technique he's good at, though he then notices Mrs. Mo's lost the necklace she wears, which belonged to Junhee's mom that had Junhee and Junyoung's names in it, but she claims it's fine. Meanwhile, So-yen's checking her stuff for her backpack when something drops from it. A necklace. But back in Mrs. Mo's home, something's off, because Junhee, instead of behaving shyly, behaves extrovertedly out of nowhere and calls her grandma Mrs. Mo, which shocks Go-yu and Mrs. Mo, and himself as well after realizing. Though he later says he was just trying to imitate Go-yu. Though Go-Yu and Soon-Tak then wonder if he's wearing contact lenses as he's without glasses, but when they hear the girls are going to the convenience store, they decide to follow her alongside others. And Go-Yu manages to get So-Yen to go, which everyone notices and end up becoming friends with her. Though back in 2023, Dr. Go's taken So-Yen to his home, but she notices his TV's unplugged, a hunch she had because he doesn't know of the news. And as she's in a bad mood today, she decides to drink alcohol with tea. But Dr. Go wants her to tell him her secret. Back in 2006, the guys head back from the convenience store, but Go-Yu stops in fear when he sees a dove. But so does Jun-hee. And both end up running away from it after Soon-Tak fails to scare it away. Though afterwards, So-Yeon points out his ornithophobia to Go-Yu, though also mentions Jun-hee's, but Go-Yu claims he doesn't suffer of it. While Jun-hee finds them sitting next to each other, but he also notices Sang-kyu and his gang bullying someone, and this time he's clenching his fists at this, which he's surprised in seeing. Though in that moment, So-Yen tells Go-Yu that besides basketball, she's bad at sports, and wants him to teach her about them. So they all ended up going to the gym, and while Soon-Tak filmed, they played different sports together. And then Soon-Tak took photographs of the three of them and their friends, and one of them ended up as the one Dr. Go has. Afterwards, Jun-hee goes to the hospital and meets with Go-Yu's mom for his checkup, finding out that his kidney is working perfectly. But Jun-hee tells her about how he's been using his right hand despite being left-handed, his vision became good again, and he's been behaving more extrovertedly. But she just says those are good signs. But while this happens, So-Yen's at her job, but feels a pain in the side of her belly, and in the bathroom, she takes out pads and remembers Go-Yu, saying she could entrust her secret to him. But meanwhile, Go-Yu's going to different restaurants to try and find Mrs. Mo's necklace, but to no avail. Next day at school, Jun-hee's class heads to the music class, while Go-Yu's returning to his classroom from training, but So-Yen was left alone as she was picking up a pen, when she spotted a MEP3 player, and she showed signs of struggling, but ultimately went and stole it. But Go-Yu saw this, and we cut back to 2023, where So-Yen's turning on Dr. Go's TV and shows him her secret, as the news show that she's involved in a theft case, having tried to steal a 800,000 won's wallet, as she cries of frustration. And in 2006, Go-Yu sees she's indeed stolen the MEP3 player. But in another pocket, he finds Mrs. Mo's collar, and though she tries talking, he calls her a thief. Go-Yu's in disbelief at So-Yen being a thief on top of having stolen Mrs. Mo's necklace, but as Gu tried asking about this, she claimed not to know where she stole it from, so Go-Yu left in shock and anger. In 2023, Soon-Tak tells Dr. Go of the news regarding So-Yen, but he's just told to send him info on kleptomania during menstrual cycles. In 2006, Soon-Tak now noticed So-Yen wasn't hanging with Go-Yu anymore, while he was in the gym, failing basketball shots again, thinking on how So-Yen apparently changed from schools often and how she got a beer back then, because she's a thief. Though he tries not thinking on it, but is frustrated, which Jun-hee and Soon-Tak notice having come seen him. Later, Jun-hee goes to Go-Yu's home, but in his room he finds the torn magazine page from the other day, and his heart beats hard at it, but not by the girl she liked, but instead by seeing the girl Go-Yu likes. Though, he then asks Go-Yu if he fought with So-Yen, but Go-Yu just hands him Mrs. Mo's collar, which leaves Jun-hee stunned, but Go-Yu won't say where he found it. While we see So-Yen staring at the stairs of a place and remembering Mrs. Mo's collar, because she actually found it there after Mrs. Mo dropped it by clashing into someone. Afterwards, Jun-hee eats in his house, but Mrs. Mo's worried, seeing him use his right hand, but he claims it helps the brain. Afterwards though, he hands her the lost necklace, to her utter shock, saying that Go-Yu found it, who's in that moment staring at his fish, unable to stop thinking on So-Yen stealing. But while Jun-hee's doing homework, he thinks on him being right-handed and how he told Go-Yu he was just trying to imitate him back then, and wrote this down, adding his vision, the ornithophobia, and the actress he now liked, making him realize he's somehow being like Go-Yu. So he then tries eating peanuts, but they don't appear to have any effect on him. The next day though, Go-Yu and Soon-Tak run into So-Yen, but Go-Yu tries ignoring her. But then, Sang-kyu at that moment appears and decides to talk to her, despite her trying to ignore him. But Go-Yu decides to go and signal her to go with him, but she just ignores him and leaves by herself. Though he goes after her and asks what her secret is, as it's the only way to truly know someone. But she just says it's that she's a thief, asking if he can understand her just by that, and if he can't, then to go. And he was left staring at her. And in 2023, Dr. Go tells to So Yin that her kleptomania is due to a disorder in her impulses generated by the period prior to her menstrual cycle. But it's curable. And So Yin is happy because when she found out he was a psychiatrist, she knew he'd understand her. Though she's tried treatments and felt better momentarily, but the symptoms would come back, but feels comfort that at least one person understands her right now. Though she then asked if she could stay in his home for a while because hers is swarmed by reports, which Dr. Go nervously accepted. Back in 2006, So Yin's at her work, but her kleptomania is acting up with a phone in front of her, but stops when someone distracts her. While Junhee meets with Mrs. Mo, who he enthusiastically called Mrs. Mo again to his shock. Though he then asked if she thought it'd be better if he were more like Go Yu, though she just takes it as a joke, but he then spots So Yin and asks Mrs. Mo to go home on her own, as he then follows So Yin but notices she's getting into a store with a baseball cap. And her kleptomania is acting up again, while she frustratedly cries and struggles with herself. And Junhee sees her about to steal something, but he calls her name, but she runs away. But Junhee catches up to her, and after seeing her teary eyes, manages to have her sit with him. Though she expects him to ask and have her explain, Junhee says that there's plenty of things in this world that can't be explained with words, which leaves So Yin surprised, though Junhee finds out this is what Go Yu saw. Afterwards, he meets with Soon-tak and Go Yu, who wants to know why he sent Mrs. Mo alone home, but he just says he was walking and that he'll catch up to eat with them later. But as he thinks on why Go Yu won't talk to So Yin anymore, he sees Sang-kyu and his gang bullying someone, and he gets the urge to fight them again. And this time, he punches him. While Go Yu thinks to himself on how he can understand So Yin, but notices that Junhee hasn't arrived yet, who's getting punched by Sang-kyu again, and he isn't faring any well. Until Go Yu himself arrives and kicks Sang-kyu away. Go Yu rescues Junhee and together, they win against Sang-kyu and his gang. They then walk home, though Junhee smiling and says he started the fight, making Go Yu call him crazy. But Junhee reveals he was also with So Yin earlier, making Go Yu suddenly stop, while Junhee talks about how So Yin had Mrs. Mo's necklace, but that she'd found it on the floor. But Go Yu claims she stole it, revealing how she stole Yoonjung's MP3 player as well. But Junhee claims she also saw her stealing, but believes she has a reason, having seen her crying. But Go Yu isn't having it and tells him to not get involved with her as he leaves alone. In 2023, So Yin talks to Dr. Go about her kleptomania, regretting not having talked about it before, saying that things might have gone differently if she'd done so, and reveals that when she was 16, 4 days before her period, she stole her friend's bracelet. A bracelet she didn't care about until one day she felt the need to steal it, the first time she stole something, but that she'd been having those impulses already, which she resisted but had been getting stronger. In 2006 though, Junhee asks Go Yu if he knows about cellular memory, but he's just told to go sleep. But Junhee thinks back on when he tried peanuts, and ended up feeling sick and his face became red like Go Yu. In the morning, he made coffee with egg bud for Mrs. Mo, just like Go Yu, who as he was waking up was putting Junhee's notebooks on a table, but stumbled upon his Go Yu equation. Later in school, So Yin gives Junhee a drink as a thanks for yesterday, though Go Yu noticed this and said not to drink it figuring it was stolen, but Junhee just saved it, though Go Yu noticed he was using his right hand. So later, he asked his mom about cellular memory, and she explained it's about patients with transplanted organs experiencing the donor's behavior, tendencies, preferences, and memories, and Go Yu realizes this is what Junhee's going through. With his fixed vision, him acting like him, his sudden ornithophobia, fighting Sang-kyu and liking the same girl from the magazine. Making him figure, thanks to this, he now likes So Yin. The next day, Junhee happens to see So Yin in a store, with her kleptomania acting up. So he pulled her out of there, but they ran into Go Yu outside, seeing him holding her, asking Junhee what's he doing. So later, alone with him, he explained he was just helping So Yin out, but Go Yu kept telling him to stop with this, and asked if he's doing this because he likes So Yin thanks to the cellular memory. But he reveals he doesn't, and that instead, he's liked her since the moment he first saw her in the nursery room. Though Go Yu appears surprised, he says that she might be dangerous to stay with, so for his sake, he'd stay away from her. But Junhee tells him to mind his business instead. But the next day at school, Yoonjung claimed she couldn't find her wallet, and Go Yu stared at So Yin during this, and the class began murmuring that it must have been her who stole it, until Yoonjung found it in her backpack. But then, their teacher came in, wanting the best 5 students from their last exam to come up front. Among them, Junhee and So Yin. but also sent the worst 5 to the back, which included Go-Yu. Though Soon-Tak tried advocating that he missed an exams day due to a match, he was told to prioritize one or the other, and then made both groups stare at each other, telling them their paths won't be crossing in the future, and made an example out of them, telling the rest of the class to choose who they wanted to find themselves with in the future. And Go-Yu was left frustrated, while So-Yeon and Jun-Hee only watched. In 2023, So-Yeon's with Dr. Go in his office, but Soon-Tak runs into them, who she's surprised seeing because he lost so much weight and because he's a psychiatrist as well. And back in 2006, Go-Yu was surprised seeing Soon-Tak because he's studying. As Jun-Hee's helping him to prepare for exams now, but while this happens, So-Yeon hears her classmates calling her a thief. While Soon-Tak, instead of going with Go-Yu, goes with Jun-Hee to study. Though, he notices So-Yeon running, and despite asking what's wrong, she just leaves. And in their classroom, they find out Yoon-jung claiming that So-Yeon a thief, having heard rumors of it. But Jun-Hee asks if any of them has seen her steal, which they can't answer, though Yoon-jung claims having heard that's why Go-Yu won't talk to her anymore. And Go-Yu meanwhile can't train, frustrated, but leaving the gym, he runs into Jun-Hee, who is waiting for him, asking if he spread So-Yeon's rumor. But Go-Yu's had enough and yells out loud that Jun-Hee won't admit he likes So-Yeon, and that she's indeed a thief as a crowd gathers by them. But as Jun-Hee won't answer, Go-Yu says all he can do is stare at others, which reminds him of what Sang-kyu said to him, making him clench his fist and punch Go-Yu repeatedly, but Go-Yu pins him down and tells him to wake up. As Go-Yu struggles against Jun-Hee, their teacher stops them, and later Mrs. Mo's called for an intervention between them, as neither of Go-Yu's parents could attend. Though she tries having Go-Yu sit next to her, he just ignores her. As she's told Jun he won't apologize, nor any of them is talking, but Mrs. Mo says she'll reprehend them, and shakily apologizes in their behalf, leaving them both uneasy. And in 2023, So-Yeon announces her agent that she'll retire from acting, though Dr. Go hears this and tries to distract her with fixing flowers like in the past. But So-Yeon then handed him a rose, while saying, "You should love like in the past." Back in 2006, Go-Yu and Jun-Hee accompany Mrs. Mo home, but Go-Yu says he'll go to his home instead, despite Mrs. Mo's insistence that she'd make him something tasty. Though, she has to go back pick her flowers, as she left them with someone due to being called to the school. But later, Go-Yu and Jun-Hee both are reflecting in their rooms, while Mrs. Mo's trying to sell her flowers. Though, while Go-Yu complains to himself that cellular memory's not an excuse for Jun-Hee, we then see his dream of his young self finding Jun-young crying and him look like a ghost. But this time it's Jun-Hee who has that nightmare. But after he awakens, he notices Mrs. Mo didn't arrive and she isn't picking up her phone, because she fell in the rain. So, the next day, he didn't attend school while Go-Yu did, but his teacher told him he had to go now, as he rushes out because he's heard of what happened to Mrs. Mo and remembers him ignoring her yesterday and telling her he'd be going home despite her insistence. And Jun-Hee is in the hospital, remembering how Mrs. Mo had to go get her flowers, which she'd left due to the fight he started. And Go-Yu meets with him next to the surgery room, telling him they mustn't cry because otherwise he feels Mrs. Mo will leave them. And when they prepared the room for her, Jun-Hee apologized to Go-Yu, but Go-Yu told him that wasn't important right now. Afterwards, Mrs. Mo's surgery was done, but Go-Yu's mom told her son and Jun-Hee that she'd suffered of a cerebral hemorrhage and will only know what'll happen once she wakes up. As Mrs. Mo then rests in her hospital room, with Go-Yu and Jun-Hee who won't leave her side, not even to eat, which makes Go-Yu's dad mad because they only have one kidney and have to eat, so he decides to see over Mrs. Mo himself so they can go eat. But they then were by her side again until Go-Yu's mom told them to rest so Mrs. Mo can rest without their pressure. And they complied, but that's when Jun-Hee revealed to Go-Yu that he's suffering of his same nightmare with Jun-young and wishes Go-Yu wouldn't dream of this anymore. Though Go-Yu can't believe cellular memory even gave him that dream, he says that instead of feeling Jun-young afraid there, feels he's trying to say something to him. The next day, an ignored So-Yeon notices how neither Jun-Hee nor Go-Yu aren't at school, while Go-Yu's dad reprimands them for not washing, eating nor attending school for being here, telling them to take turns going to school or else he'll forbid them from coming again. Meanwhile, So-Yin looks at her phone, the background photo of herself with Go-Yu and Jun-Hee, which she smiles at, and later she decides she must tell something to their teacher. And the next day she ran into Jun-Hee, who'd come to school again, though he's heard from Soon-Tak that she'll be leaving the school, which she affirms and would be going study outside the country, but tells him she's thankful. While Go-Yu stayed at the hospital with Mrs. Mo, talking to her in her sleep, telling her that for him, love was very hard, but loving her was very easy, thanking her for it. But later at night, Junhee's awakened by Go-Yu's call and hears him crying because Mrs. Mo's gone. And after the funeral, he could just put her photo next to his family, as Go-Yu was left staring at them while his mom handed Junhee her necklace and told him to sell his house and come live with them. And in 2023, So Yin finds that collar again, which she recognizes from back then, and which broke her heart. Though she then asks Dr. Go if he can make her the coffee with the egg bud, which she heard he's good at making, from his best friend. As in 2006, we see Go-Yu finding So Yin, who looked like she was about to steal, so he ignored her. But she stopped him, telling him she didn't do it, though Go-Yu reveals he wasn't thinking she'd do it. And So Yin thanks him as she leaves. And in 2023, Dr. Go hangs outside with So Yin, and both get nervous when both their hands brush past the others. But Dr. Go decides to hold hers, saying he wanted to hold it since a very long time ago, and So Yin smiles, saying she's happy with this. And in 2006, Go-Yu talked to Junhee about how he'd be moving in with them, though then bothered Soontak so he wouldn't study, but the ringing suddenly came back for Junhee. But 1 month later, Go-Yu was in Junhee's empty home, because Junhee suddenly disappeared, and in his room finds a letter and his necklace that reads that Mrs. Mo would have wanted him to get half the necklace, saying that he's going on a trip and apologized without telling him but hoped he'd understand, and to take care, telling Go-Yu he'll carry the nightmare for him now. And Go-Yu's left shocked as he grips the necklace in his fist against himself. And in 2023, So Yin reveals to Dr. Go, who turns out is Go-Yu, that he was the one who told her to go with him as he knew a bit about her feelings. But she then stops, because she's signaling that he, Junhee, who Go-Yu hugs after all these years, while they look at their past selves. And after seeing their journey in this story, Go-Yu narrates how, when they were 18, they believed in love, and the love they had was pure, having been passionate and ambitious. While So Yin narrates that they didn't try using love as a tool to change their future back then. And Go-Yu that even though it was more beneficial to study plenty, they were the best to be in love. As the photograph in Go-Yu's apartment flies back into the book as it gets written its back, all that we loved.